Supreme Court heard arguments today on whether banning mental health counselors from discussing therapy intended to change children's sexual orientation or gender identity is unconstitutional. Conversion therapy is prohibited in more than 20 states. CBS's chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford reports from the Supreme Court.
The state is imposing their values on these kids.
Therapist Kaylee Childs says her practice changed 5 years ago after Colorado put limits on what counselors could discuss with clients under 18 years old about gender identity and sexuality.
The law basically restricts the speech between me and my client. If your daughter were to say, I think I'm a boy, we can only affirm and validate that and assist with gender transition.
Colorado is one of nearly 24 states that prohibit what's called conversion therapy for minors, or as the law puts it, any practice or treatment that attempts or purports to change an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. Childs says it violates her free speech. Colorado says it isn't targeting speech, but instead setting standards of conduct for health professionals.
They have a duty to make sure that they're following ethics and make sure they're following actual scientific practices.
Curtis Lopez Galloway has worked to pass similar laws in other states and say they protect kids.
So I went to conversion therapy when I was 16.
What was the purpose of the therapy?
It was to make me straight. It really led to a lot of confrontation, a lot of tension in my family.
But Childs says Colorado's law bans a lot more than forced conversion therapy.
I see voluntary adolescents who make their own goals in counseling, and they are suffering with a lack of access to care.
Now, the justices seem sympathetic to the therapist's free speech claims, but it's unclear how the court will rule or whether they'll send it back to the lower courts. But regardless, this is shaping up to be a blockbuster term. There are cases on gun rights, voting rights, whether transgender athletes can participate in girls' sports, and that is before we even get to the Trump cases. President Trump's sweeping tariffs, whether or not he can fire members of federal agencies, and on the horizon, birthright citizenship.